Tuesday marked a significant turning point in the race for the White House. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump won big in 3 key U.S. primaries, including the state of Florida, forcing U.S. Senator Marco Rubio to suspend his campaign. Governor John Kasich won his home state of Ohio, while U.S. Senator Ted Cruz failed to make any significant gains. On the Democratic side, frontrunner Hillary Clinton enjoyed clear victories in 4 key states, increasing her lead over challenger Bernie Sanders. Both Clinton and Trump also appeared to squeak out close victories in Missouri. We begin with CCTV's Jessica Stone. She joins us from the White House. And Jessica, it appears Donald Trump will have the most delegates when he reaches the Republican convention in July. But the question is, will he have the support of the Republican Party?
Well, at this point, I think the party is still waking up to the fact that he's going to be very likely their nominee. And so there's still a lot of division in the Republican Party over him. You'll recall that just 10 days ago, we had Mitt Romney, the former U.S. presidential candidate for the Republican Party, saying, please, we cannot have Donald Trump as the party's nominee. He is not fit to be president. He called on voters, both in the party and without, to vote against Trump, anybody but Trump, essentially, he said. And also, there's still this sort of floating possibility that's been at least circulated that the decision could really come down to the convention itself in July, and the party would decide there as opposed to along the way. But there's no doubt that Donald Trump is very likely to have the number of delegates he needs by the time that happens, and so it wouldn't come down to the convention in that case. Donald Trump is really vastly ahead of anybody. The only person at this point on and that could challenge him is Ted Cruz, and that gap is getting much and much narrower at this point.
Now, on the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton regrouped after that setback in Michigan in that primary. Has she now stopped the surge of Bernie Sanders?
Well, Ohio was really a test for her. You know, she had lost in Michigan, and the same type of voters that are in Michigan are also in Ohio. And so there was a real an effort by her campaign to focus on Ohio in order to secure the same kind of voters, these voters that are afraid of losing jobs or have lost jobs due to trade, something that Bernie Sanders' campaign has really resonated on, his anti-free trade message. And so now she's essentially proved that she can get these type of voters in the Midwest, and she's already proven that she can get voters to support her in the South, the North, the East, and the West. And she's already 300 delegates ahead of Bernie Sanders. There's really no mathematical possibility that he can catch up at this point.
And one final question, Jessica, not totally unrelated to the election. President Obama announced Merrick Garland as his nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. He's an appeals court judge right now. Now, Republican leaders have said they will not consider a nominee. What do you think will be the fallout from this?
Well, this is really going to become, and it already has become on it, a campaign issue. The candidates have already gotten plenty of questions about what kind of Supreme Court justice they would nominate after the death of Antonin Scalia a couple of weeks ago. And so it's already front and center. We know that Mr. Garland, Judge Garland, has spoken to the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, and tried to set up a meeting with him. McConnell is really the leader of the congressional Republican effort not to even give the nominee a hearing, much less consideration. And he wouldn't back down, essentially. According to his spokesperson, he's still not even going to meet privately with Garland, and he's still not going to call for a hearing. You know, McConnell has, according to his spokesperson, accused Obama of politicizing this, but the congressional Republicans had already said even before this nominee was chosen that they wouldn't give that person a hearing. So it's really setting up to be a political fight. And we did hear both Obama and Judge Garland really try to address some of the concerns in the Republican Party as they made the announcement. Take a listen.
I have fulfilled my constitutional duty. Now it's time for the Senate to do theirs. Presidents do not stop working in the final year of their term. Neither should a senator.
And on it, here is the bottom line. There is this Democratic Party hope that if the Republicans block the nomination of this judge, if they don't even get him in a hearing, that voters will be so upset by what they perceive as Republican intransigence, the Republicans being the party of no, that they will go to the ballot box during the U.S. presidential election and they will pull the lever for a Democrat. And that is really the strategy that the White House is riding on.
Thanks, Jessica. That's CCTV's Jessica Stone reporting from the White House.